Corinthians? She's prepared. Well, it's 2 Corinthians 13. When I was reading this verse, it's basically the bit where Paul's talking about this weakness he's got. And he's pleading with God to say, like, can't you take it away from me? And God comes back to him and he says, my grace is sufficient for you.
12:9.
13, is it?
I think.
Yeah. He knows it. Okay, he says...
Cheating. Someone gave that to me as a, written down, so.
And he said... oh yeah, if you want to chip in, by the way, like, just chuck it in there. And he says, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast in my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. And that's why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses. For me, when I've read that verse loads and loads of times, but when I was really struggling with the funny thing, it was something. It was something that it's quite ironic, isn't it? Yeah. It was something that really hit me. I was like, wow, what am I doing? Why am I worrying so much about whether I'm weak or not? Because the fact is that everyone's got weaknesses, and that God wants to take that and say, look, when you're weak, when you feel like you can't do it, great, because you know that you're going to see the power of God working in that and changing that, and that you don't have to rely on yourself. And it's not even like you've got strengths. It's not even like you have to do the things you're good at on your own either. It's like you've got the power of God for your strengths and your weaknesses. But you haven't got to be ashamed of your weaknesses. You can stand up and say, yeah, I can't do that, but I'm going to trust in you, and I know that someday I am going to be able to beat that and not give into it anymore, not let it bug me.
Yeah.
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 You just look at that. There we go.
Another thing, we was doing a bit of background, looking on the internet and stuff about it, and then we was reading this kind of blurb bit kind of thing on weaknesses, and it is saying that we try to do as much as we can in our own strength, and we don't like to. We like to pretend that we can do it on our own, at least do as much as we can on our own before we ask for help. But it's it's like the whole idea, it's like that typical, men driving in a car, they're lost, they won't stop and ask for directions, but they've got to do it by themselves, and they won't ask anyone who, there could be a local close side of the road, and they know probably where you want to go, but you're not going to ask them because you want to do it by yourself, and you want to get there by yourself. It's all about trying to prove to yourself that you're good enough to be able to do it. And basically, just saying that, it's not about putting in as much as you can, then asking for God. From the start, do it with all of God's strength. Don't just rely on Him for the hard of it kind of thing. Use Him the whole time. Pardon?
The top up.
Yeah, don't use it as the top up. Use it as the whole way through.
Bible heroes.
Yeah, Bible heroes.
There we go.
Yeah, and like you said, everyone has weaknesses, and even through the Bible, the people that we kind of learn about and we read about and kind of look to as the heroes of the Bible thing, they have weaknesses, and found this list. It's excellent.
Read it.
Yeah, right. So the next time you feel that God can't use you, just remember that Noah was a drunk, Abraham was too old, Isaac was a daydreamer, Jacob was a liar, Leah was ugly, Joseph was abused, Moses had a stuttering problem. Gideon was afraid, Samson had long hair and was a womanizer.
That was bad.
Rahab was a prostitute. Jeremiah and Timothy were too young. David had an affair and was a murderer. Elijah was suicidal. Jonah ran from God. Naomi was a widow. Job went bankrupt. Peter denied Christ. The disciples fell asleep while praying. Martha worried about everything. The Samaritan woman was divorced more than once. Zacchaeus was too small, Paul was too religious, Timothy had an ulcer, and Lazarus was dead. Even if you're useless, even people in the Bible that we learn about and we try to focus on, and so much is based around of what we learn. Even they had problems, even they had issues. So God wants us to completely rely on Him all the time, not just when we're weak, but also when we're strong, we feel like we can do something. He still wants us to talk to Him. Still wants us to, want Him to help us even when we think we can do it by ourselves. And there's a verse in James 1, verse 5.